format for today. Greg McGarity will come up and have some opening remarks. He'll introduce Coach Smart. Coach Smart will make some opening remarks, followed by a question and answer session with the media. A reminder, we have some 4 microphones, so please raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll get one of the 4 microphones to you. And when you ask your question, please be sure to identify yourself and what outlet you represent. At the conclusion of the question and answer session, both Greg and Kirby will step off the stage and be available for a short time for some follow-up questions with the media, and then we'll conclude the program. Greg?
Thanks, Claude. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. Today is a very important day for the University of Georgia, and we are extremely proud and excited to introduce Kirby Smart as the 26th head football coach at the University of Georgia. To Kirby, Mary Beth, Weston, Julia, and Andrew, welcome home. Our goal during the search process was to identify a person of unquestioned integrity, of the highest standards for conduct and character, a dynamic and energetic leader for our football program in the University of Georgia. It was critical to identify a person who would focus on a specific, defined process of developing championship football teams on and off the playing field. Someone who understands the true meaning of a student athlete by actually experiencing it himself. Someone who competed at the highest levels on the playing field, was mentored by some of the very best in the game, and understood the specific ingredients necessary to excel at the highest levels of college athletics. Kirby Smart fits that profile. I believe Kirby Smart is the perfect fit for the University of Georgia. We want to thank Mr. Bill Carr, the CEO of Carr Sports Consulting, for assisting us during this search process, as well as members of my staff. With Bill's assistance, we considered and vetted a number of current head coaches and assistant coaches to determine the best match for the University of Georgia. We then identified a small number of candidates with whom we discussed our head job. Kirby and I met Saturday night in Atlanta following the SEC championship game, and after that conversation, I made my recommendation to President Moorhead that Kirby Smart become our new head football coach. On Sunday morning, President Moorhead interviewed Kirby and thereafter approved of my recommendation to name Kirby Smart as our new head football coach. President Moorhead then called for a meeting of the Executive Committee of the UGA Athletic Board, which unanimously approved the hiring of Kirby Smart. Now is the time for all Bulldogs to unite and give our support to our football coach and staff. Now is the time to make that next step in our program. We are ready to move forward. We are ready to support Kirby every step of this journey, and I know our staff looks forward with great enthusiasm to work alongside Kirby in our effort to make UGA great. Ladies and gentlemen, the head football coach at the University of Georgia, Kirby Smart.
Express how honored and privileged I am to stand before you as the head coach of the University of Georgia. I'd like to first thank President Moorhead, Greg McGarity, and the Athletic Board. I also want to express how much I appreciate the last 9 years I've spent at the University of Alabama. Coach Saban has been a great mentor during that time, and I would not be before you today were it not for him. I've thought about this day all my life. As the son of a high school coach, the best English teacher in the world, I've always aspired to be a head coach. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad, for the example you set for me and for so many others. As most of you know, I spent 5 of the greatest years of my life here in Athens as a student athlete. As I look throughout this history, very storied history of the historic program, several coaches had a great impact on my life here. Coach Dooley, who's been a lot to me, this community, and a great man. Coach Goff, who God bless him, brought me here. Wasn't a very good player. Probably the reason he's not here is because he wasn't a very good player. But Coach Donnie has been a great asset to me as I've grown as a coach. I also like to thank Coach Rick for the opportunity he gave me as assistant here in 2005, and also for laying the foundation of integrity at this university. But the most important thanks goes to my best friend, my teammate and partner for life, my wife. She is my rock, and as a coach's wife, she plays the role of both parents a great deal of the time at our home. And the best part, she's a born and bred Bulldog. From the time I met her, she's been a Bulldog. We met here in Athens, Georgia, married here in Athens, Georgia, so it is, in a sense, a homecoming for our family. Her father Paul's here, helping with our 3 wonderful children, Weston, Julia, and Andrew. Without you, MB, none of this would be possible. Now, a little bit about my vision for the university and our football program. Our student athletes will represent the university with class and integrity. We will demand that. The greatest satisfaction I've received as a coach is going into a 17, 18-year-old's home, recruiting that young man, and then watching them walk out the door as a graduate 5 years later. We'll do everything in our power to help these kids be successful as true student athletes. That student comes first. Although we know these young men will not be perfect, they will be held to a higher standard of behavior. Our ultimate goal is to educate students, and we'll do this the right way, which is the Georgia way. Now, about our football team and our brand of football. Our team will display great mental and physical toughness. We'll play with great confidence and pride on the field. We'll work towards this with relentless energy and passion. And I will demand that everyone in the organization does that. In closing, I'd like to issue a call to action of sorts to the Georgia people. We need to channel our faith, trust, and energy in the same direction to support this team and this university. Thanks again. It's an honor and privilege to be here before you. And I'll now take any questions.
Hands up, questions? Please identify yourself.
Dean from Scout and Dog Coach. Kirby, congratulations. What's it seem to you what's it feel like to you to see your family all met over here? You got the business on.
Yeah, it's a special moment for me, Dean, to see them and see what she's been through, everybody's been through. Coaching profession is tough on the wives. And she's done a great job with our children, raising them in a Christian home, and that makes me proud. It makes me proud to be back in Athens and be part of this great community.
Coach Jason Boat from Telegraph. Just wondering if you've made any progress on preparing your staff now that you're the head coach of Georgia.
Absolutely. The staff questions will come up. You know, we don't put a timetable when we make those decisions. It's a very fluid situation, constantly moving and changing. I won't put any timetables on anything. Right now we're worried about getting on the road, getting recruiting, and trying to assemble staff and talk to as many people as we can.
Kirby, Seth Emerson, manager on Constitution. What was your reasoning? Was there much discussion about leaving Alabama immediately to take over full-time, or what is your plan on this one?
First off, both President Moorhead and Greg were very supportive of me doing this the right way. It's very important to me that I finish things the right way over there. A lot of these young men playing for the University of Alabama, I sat in their homes 3, 4, 5 years ago and convinced them to come to the University of Alabama. And I don't think it would be doing justice trying to walk away from those kids. And I think that President Moorhead and Greg both support me fully in continuing to finish that, while at the same time honor my duties here. And the time, regulating the time will be very critical in the next probably month while we get ready for this game, and also recruiting to active period right now. So it'll be a challenge, but a challenge I'm up to.
Kirby Smart from Scout Hill. When did you feel like you were prepared and ready to be a head coach, and what unease once you had the belt stepping into that role?
I think the growth you get from working on it at a place like Alabama with a program under Nick Saban, it helps me immensely. A lot of people always said, why not go take a smaller school head job? I honestly feel like my growth was better by being in a large program. being around Coach Saban and learning how to manage a lot of the tough situations they deal with in the media. So for me, the most difficult thing for me is the timing of this and trying to move forward and grow and get recruiting going. But as far as the challenges they present, it's there for every head coach in the country. It's no different for anybody to hit the ground running, but you go nose to the grindstone and you can deal with one issue at a time. And that's what we plan to do here as a staff.
I'm Kirby Smart, manager of my institution. Clearly, today's an emotional day for you. It takes really fighting this. My understanding is you've had many opportunities over the years. Can you validate that? And why Georgia and why now?
Well, I don't think I need to validate the opportunities. To me, the biggest thing is I've had opportunities to go places. Stayed at Alabama. I thought it was a good place. I waited on a great opportunity, which is here at the University of Georgia right now. No better place in the country to be. One of the top programs in the country, top story programs. Very fertile recruiting ground. Very supportive administration. So I'm so excited to be here right now and be here before you guys.
Coach, Ken Rodriguez, Fox 5, over here. You're preparing for a national playoff.
Yeah.
You're also catching up with the recruiting. Give us an idea what your days are going to be like. And for those one or two recruits that are going to be might have been wavering, what do you plan to? How do you plan to handle that?
Well, be honest with them. It's the first thing. To be honest with the recruits, be up front. That there's change going on, and change is inevitable. And I think it's really important that they understand that. And it's important they get to know me. When you ask what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be real busy. I've been real busy. I'm going to continue to be busy. But that's the relentless energy and passion. That's the reason I am where I am today. Because I'm going to do that recruiting, I'm going to be coaching, I'm going to work for the playoff game the same way, with the same energy and passion. So that's what I hope to achieve.
Kirby Vance Levy, Bulldog Illustrated, welcome back. A lot has been heard about the process over at Alabama. Without giving away the trade secrets, what are the, kind of the cornerstones of that, and how I assume you'll be implementing a lot of that here at Georgia?
The process is hard work, is what it is. It's hard work with a commitment to doing things the right way, a commitment to excellence on the field, off the field, in the classroom, and every social aspect we have for our players. And the only way you achieve that is by getting a great organization, a great support staff, surrounding yourself with great people and great coaches. That's what I hope to do here at the University of Georgia.
Hey, Kirby, Fred Cavell, CBS 46, over here this way. Hey, didn't mean to scare you there. Could you just tell us, when you spoke to the team, what your message was to those guys that are in the room?
Yeah, I spoke to the team last night, and I talked to them about the same things I just talked about here, having a commitment to excellence off the field, especially right now, staying in the finals, making sure they stay committed to the classroom, finishing this season the right way with a chance to win 10 games, which helps in recruiting. I spoke to those guys about doing the right things off the field, and if they can continue to do that, they can be successful. But I talked to them about change, and I told them that, I guess it was 20 years ago, I sat in the same place they were. And we had a new coach coming in, and the uneasiness about having to prove yourself again and start over, sometimes as an upperclassman, is tough. And I want to be here for them for that. We're going to challenge them. We're going to demand toughness and effort out of every person in every aspect of their life. And we're going to push them harder than they've ever been pushed. But I think to be excellent, they have to do that.
Afternoon, Coach. I'm Scott Kemmler, News Radio 106.7 here in Atlanta, or there in Atlanta, over here, Coach.
I'm listening.
The past couple seasons, the program has had a couple of setbacks. If you could talk to all of the Bulldog Nation, which you can and are, what would you say to instill confidence that the team will move forward and be in a better place fairly quickly?
Looking forward, the only thing I can do is look forward. Try to assemble the best staff possible, and you go out and get as much depth and good players as you can in recruiting. And make sure those are the right kind of student athletes that'll make right choices and decisions when they get here, and then get back here in January and get back to the grind of assembling this team and making this team the best it can be. I firmly believe that you can take and develop players and you can show improvement within a team, and we need to do that here.
Coach, Zach Klein from WSB Channel 2 in Atlanta. You left for one program and arguably
exceedingly high expectations to come to this, where they decided to go in a different direction after expectations were not met. You played against this team earlier in the year. How far is your new team away from competing for national championships?
You know, that's not a question that I like to answer, hypotheticals. And to answer that would be really difficult to say, put a pinpoint on a time on that. What we want to do is develop a really tough physical team. We want to get great recruits in here, and we want to do it the right way. That's what's important to me. Continuing on the foundation of integrity is utmost importance for us here at University of Georgia. Sorry.
Coach, Bobot, News Talk 1160. What's the single most important element you want to instill in the program right away? What will identify this is a Kirby Smart program?
Character, toughness, determination, a lot of those factors, relentless effort. That's what we talk about all the time. That's what we're going to sell this program on. Making sure every kid is buying in to the team aspect of that. And once you get that, you can achieve every goal you want.
Hey, Kirby, John Salty, AL.com. Nick said that you're as loyal and good as an assistant as he's ever had. I'm just interested in just kind of what the meeting was like when you told him that this was going to happen and just what his initial reaction was when you said you were going to Georgia.
It was great. His reaction was excited for me. He and I have a great relationship. We spent 11 years together, 9 consecutively there at the University of Alabama. He's been a great mentor for me. He was very supportive. He said he'll do anything he can to help me and continue that development. He's always been supportive. He's got a lot of guys that he's worked with out there in his profession.
Jordan Hill of the Red and Black. Coach, when Coach Rick left, he talked about he sort of regretted not having more say on the offense. Do you feel like you're going to be more hands-on when you get to work with the defense?
Repeat the question, I'm sorry.
When Coach Rick left, he talked about he kind of regretted not being more hands-on on the offense. Have you kind of decided if you're going to be more hands-on when you get with the defense?
More hands-on than what?
As far as running the defense, not leaving it to assistants.
Oh, no, I'm hands-on with the whole program. I mean, I'm going to be very The biggest strength that I think I have as a coach is managing the whole thing, being involved in special teams, being involved in the offensive and defensive sides, and meeting with the coaches. And the big thing is making sure everybody's on the same page. Demand excellence out of everybody, and make sure you get that. And if you don't get it, you got to continue to demand it, or you got to make a change. And that's what being a head coach is about. And those are the hard, tough decisions you got to make. That's what I'm ready to do.
Jeff Schultz of the Illinois Constitution. Coach, following up an earlier question, you came from a place where teams were expected to win titles. There was obviously a high expectation. There was a belief that Alabama was going to be in the hunt every year. I dare say you're coming to a place where the fan base has been beat up a little bit, haven't won an SEC title in a while. How difficult is it, not just to achieve that level of success, but to get people to believe that Georgia can win big games and have those moments sort of year after year and compete for titles?
So I think you do that day by day. WIN, what's important now, and you build that faith, trust, and confidence in your program by what you do with your players. And I think first and foremost, these players at the University of Georgia have to believe in themselves, and we got to do a good job of instilling that in them as a staff. Make them believe in themselves. There's good players here. We got to do a good job with them. We got to improve the depth. We got to improve the quality of depth throughout the team, both offensive and defensive lines, skill areas. No area here that doesn't need improvement in depth. But that can be done. I think it will be done.
Kirby, Wes Blankenship from WMAZ in Macon. You referenced that 2005 season in your opening remarks. What did you take from that season specifically here in Athens, if anything, that you brought with you through the rest of your coaching career?
Yeah, that's a unique question because that year I was the running backs coach, and it was a unique year for me because I was coaching on the opposite side of the ball. I still think that was one of the greatest learning experiences for me. To this day, I still push balls on defense that I learned from being with Mike Lobo and the offensive staff, Neil Callaway, here at the University of Georgia. That helped me become a better coach. So I advise every young coach that you can spin over to the other side of the ball as a graduate assistant or another position coach, and you do that. That helped me grow in 2005 to be on that side of the ball. There were a lot of great players here that year, and it was a fun group to coach and running back. We had a lot of good players there.
Danny-UGAsports.com. I guess in regard to recruiting this week, have you had much conversations with Brian McClendon about the type of player that Georgia has been targeting? And how do you plan on handling the dynamics of approaching and targeting and going after the kids you want?
Say that one more time at the end of that.
Yeah, just how do you plan on handling the dynamics of getting out to all the kids you want to see this week?
The dynamics of handling, I'm going immediately from here to go out and start recruiting and use every minute I've got of this contact period. In fact, I'm ready to go right now. I got to go see them. I've only got so long to go see them, and then it goes dead again when we get back to work on our bowl games and bowl prep. So, I mean, we've got a very detailed list of people we're going to see and going to attack, and go see them one last time before it goes quiet again. So.
Charles Oda with the Associated Press. Following up on that, do you have a break before practice begins for Michigan State of about a week where you're, so to speak, full-time Georgia?
Absolutely.
How long will that?
It's not exactly set yet, probably till Monday, Tuesday of next week. When we start bowl practice, I think University of Georgia, Brian McClendon, we're starting around the same time we are. So I'll head back over to Tuscaloosa, start bowl prep with them. But even while I'm over there, I got a lot of good mentors in this business. And one guy I want to really thank is Dan Quinn of the University of the Falcons. He called and said, "Hey, look, I can help you." I went through a similar process when he was with the Seahawks and also trying to take over the Falcons. And he talked about time management and managing your time the right way, spending every free moment you have people help you. I've got a great organization support structure here already in place who can help me time-wise and have calls set up and ways for me to manage it better and utilize that time so that you can be fair to both ways.
Ronnie Woolsey, Kirby Sports. We know what you've done defensively. Can you give us your offensive philosophy? And are you going to install an offense that was toughest for you to defend against, or do you have some sort of plan in place?
Well, I think a lot of offenses we've tried to defend have been difficult. The media would say that the spread teams are the Alabama kryptonite, but I would argue it could go either way. And I think offensively you have to have balance. Okay, you want to be able to run the football and throw the football. It's proven over time. If you're one-dimensional, you'll eventually get stopped. So have balance. You got to have good depth on the offensive line, especially in this conference. You got to have big, grown men. You need lots of depth. It's hard to get through it without having injuries. But we want to be able to make explosive plays on offense, which means you got to have good skilled people. And to me, you got to go recruit great skilled people. They're here in the state. They're here within a 5-hour radius. You got to go get them and get them in your program so you can make explosive plays. And I think that was lacking in somewhat last year here on this team. The perimeter guys, you want to be able to make explosive plays. So to do that, you got to be great on third down on offense. So those three target areas you got to have. Now to say, are you going to be spread? Are you going to be pro? Pro format. I don't think you can pigeonhole yourself into that. Okay? I like to think that you got to be both in different situations. You got to utilize the talent you have on your team. What kind of players do you have on your team? What does it set up to be successful? Do you have a lot of good tight ends? Do you have a lot of good backs? How about using those guys? Okay, give the best players the ball. And I've learned that from the coaches I've worked for. They've been the most successful when the good players get the ball. So you need to go get good players and get them the ball. And that's what we plan to do.
Kirby D. Muggy again. Have you talked with Mike at all? Did he congratulate you? And have you discussed anything with Will here lately?
Yeah, obviously Mike went, I guess he was announced yesterday, texted me, called me. We're close friends, family friends, kind of grew up together. Dad's high school coach as well as mine. So Mike's been very supportive of me, been very helpful, talking to, bouncing ideas off of. And it was the same way last year with him. I used him, he used me as a resource, and we used each other. We both had different networks. And Will, obviously I've talked to Will, we're good friends. I'm happy for Will, happy for his family.
Kirby, David Pascal from Chattanooga. As a follow-up to that, with Will being named in South Carolina and Missouri promoting Barry Odom, you've got 5 coaches in the East now with defensive backgrounds, where 5 years ago it was overwhelmingly offensive. Why do you think it has trended so sharply in that direction?
I don't know if it is that way in the East. Obviously, you just gave that information, but for me, it's just how it happened. It's what kind of people you are, what kind of person you are. And it just so happened that way. Maybe it can change in 4 years and go back the other way. Obviously, there's been a large trend towards offensive coaches as well. And it goes highs and lows, ebbs and flows, who's stopping who and who's doing well. And, for the most part, I've always thought of the SEC as a defensive league. The highest ranked, I think, offensive statistical group, we might be 33rd in the country out of our conference, where there's a lot of top defenses. And it's a tough physical league, so you want to be able to play good defense. And historically, the teams with the best defense have been near the top of the conference. So I think that's important to a trademark. You have a good program in the SEC championship is good defense.
Kirby Towers, HSC. Have you been, in terms of staff and everything, have you been given any kind of limitations or restrictions, or you can't have this guy, you can't have that guy?
Absolutely. They've been tough to support any decision I want to make, and that's the way it should be. Also, I want to mention, I see Mark Fox out there. I appreciate him reaching out to me today. He's been a great asset to me already, and look forward to meeting him and visiting with him.
Coach, over here, Dan Matthews, second row. To your right here. In the interest of continuity with the program players, is there interest in holding over some staff members from the previous regime?
Again, I don't want to put a timetable or any speculation. It's really unfair to those coaches and their families. There'll be consideration there, obviously, but I do think it's very important that I hire my staff with my staff in place.
Last question, please.
Coach Scott Michelle with the Augusta Chronicle. When you follow a long-term coach who's had a relative success at a university, do you feel a certain pressure to deliver a higher level of expectation right away?
No greater pressure than I feel myself, I can promise you that. Because that's the way it should be. You put pressure on yourself and demand excellence of everybody in your organization, and we want to go out there and have the intent of winning every game we play.
Thank you.
Yes.